Good morning and welcome to Carol Salter's podcast. Today I'm delighted to start a new series which I'm calling an interview with. It's interviewing various artists, creatives, celebrities, authors, people who would like to have a three-dimensional format to present their work and how they go about it. Today I'm very pleased to invite Danielle Williams to join me, a local artist, to talk about her work, her aims, where she came from, and find out a bit more about her life and her artwork. Welcome, Danielle.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. We're going to start off, first of all, if that's okay, Danielle, looking at your background. What's your cultural background? Where did you come from originally?
I was actually born in Canterbury.
Right.
And I lived in Canterbury in a pub in a village outside, sort of near Canterbury, for about a year. And then I grew up in Gravesend and came back to Canterbury.
So a Kent girl through and through by the sound of it.
Yeah, I've lived in Maidstone for like 2 years. So yeah, I've pretty much always been in Kent. I did have 4 months in Finland.
Wow. Well, that's different. What made you go to Finland?
So it was after I graduated from university, and I ever since I was about 13, 14, I really wanted to go to Finland. I was a bit obsessed. And this is because my grandmother is from Finland, and I became quite interested to know more about where she came from.
That's brilliant.
So when I graduated, I went and worked as an au pair for 4 months.
So you were trying to, if you like, find your cultural heritage by doing that?
Yes.
Yeah. And did you find it?
I think so. I found myself feeling very comfortable there.
Great. That's great. So are there any other life experiences that have affected your work as an artist at all?
Well, pretty much my whole life, I guess. Like, I feel like art is just sort of through my life, through my being all the time.
So throughout your whole life. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of concepts with your work? You know, is there any themes, places you've lived, things you've done, your childhood, anything like that?
So yes, I'd say subtly, yes. Like, I definitely always come back to a kind of music theme. I love going out and doing live sketches of musicians playing at open mic nights or gigs, and I am planning on doing a series of paintings from those sketches and sort of based around local musicians.
Wow.
And I think I tend to, I guess, put a little bit of emotion into the painting. Like, I don't know how to really explain that. Sort of physically, I feel like it comes out sometimes. And I'm a fan of symbolism as well.
Right, that's exactly what I was trying to ask, so that's great. So what are you trying to get across to your viewers, the people who see your work? What is that musical thing are you trying to get over?
That's a really hard question.
Come on, it's an interview. I'm not going to make it totally easy. So you mentioned about seeing the music and the people singing and putting that into your work. So what are you trying to get the people who see your work to feel or to get back out of it?
I want to capture the energy that you get from a live performance.
Right.
And I don't know if it's noticeable to other people, but in the process of drawing, I notice myself drawing a little bit differently for the variety of performers.
Right.
And I guess my paintings, it's just me trying to bring someone else's attention to something that maybe I've noticed. Quite often, I'm just inspired by the way the light hits someone's face. I love portraits, and obviously painting portraits, if you know the person, I feel like you capture them a little bit as well, more than a photograph could. But you're also getting my view of that person as well.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated with how light looks. I've always has been. I used to do photography, So that might be where that comes from. Putting it into a painting, I'm sort of hoping that the viewer is then looking at what I've seen, and they may not have looked at it in that way before.
True. That's very good. Yeah, well done. So who would you say who would you say are the biggest influences on your work? Do you have a particular artist or photographer or anybody that you feel influences what you do?
You know, I don't think there's a specific one, because I love so many different types of things. I'd say that maybe when I was 14, when I was doing my GCSE art, I think that was when I was 14, I can't remember. I remember the first time being introduced to Van Gogh, and I know it's very stereotypical, I'm sure everyone says they love Van Gogh. I became completely obsessed by it. It wasn't just how they looked, I was just fascinated by his stories. Like, if I could find a documentary about him, I would watch it. I wanted to read about him. I think that's when I realized, like, it's the what I'm fascinated by is more than just what they create or what's on the surface. It's like getting to know someone through their art, that sort of backstory, really. And then, like, yeah, people's stories just really intrigue me. That's why when I look at artists I really like, there seems to be a lot of variety, because I gravitate towards the artists where their story kind of sticks with me. And when I was a teenager, I guess I was going through that edgy phase. I was like, yes, moody, sad painter. This is it.
Yeah, I think you probably hit the quintessential teenage vibe there. Because
the teenage
that's definitely yeah. And from what you're saying, it sounds like what you're looking at is the essence. You're trying to pick up the essence of the person, and that's what you did with Van Gogh. You were trying to find out what made him tick, what made him Van Gogh. Is that where I'm going? Is that right?
Yeah.
Excellent. You've mentioned briefly about doing your GCSEs and university. How have you developed your career since school? Where did you go after that?
Oh, it's been a bit of a squiggly journey.
I like the word squiggly.
I recently read a book called Squiggly Careers, and I really loved it. So I was like, that's a perfect way to describe me. I'm a bit squiggly.
Okay, we won't put that in the title of the interview. You're all right. Squiggly.
The squiggly artist.
That would be quite cool, actually. I might leave this bit in.
At school, I was very into the arts. Like, I did art, photography, and music. Those were my main subjects. And then A-levels, I did art and photography again. I would have done music if it wasn't in the same block, the way they
they do
the way they do their timetables. I couldn't be
I
in
know.
And then I went to UCA in Canterbury, the University for the Creative Arts, and I did a foundation diploma in art and design. And that was a bit of a shock to me, because I'd actually been at the same school for 15 years. Like, my nursery, my primary school,
was it
my
your
secondary
school? Yeah,
sixth form, it was even on the same bit of land. I was with the same teachers, the same students for 15 years, like, and then suddenly I went to a different town in a different place, and I was like, this is a shock. For the first time at 18.
So how did you cope with that?
I didn't. I managed. I got through it, but it was.
Did you live in?
No, I lived with my nan, because my nan lived nearby, and I was like,
is this your Finland one? Is this your Finland nan?
No, the nan on the other side.
Right, on the other side. That sounds a bit odd. Nan on the other side, I like that. Squiggly and nan on the other side I've picked up so far. I think you'll find that's the author in me, sorry.
You'll get a collection of Danny-isms. Danielle.
Right, you're at
UCA.
Right, you're at UCA.
Yes.
Tell us what UCA was like.
The foundation diploma is very, very intense. It's for 1 year, and the first couple of weeks, they call it like the carousel weeks. And so each week you are in a different department. I think the way I remember it, my first week was visual communication, and then there was, I think, because there was fashion and textiles, there was fine art, there was lens-based media, and there was 3D design. And each week you had a different project within that area. And then by the end of that, you then had to choose which one you wanted to specialize in, and that's what you stayed in for the rest of the year. And I remember thinking, my portfolio, my work, I had more work in those couple of weeks than I think I'd done in my entire A-levels. It was like, there's so much stuff everywhere. I was like, this is crazy.
That's great.
Yeah. And
you chose? What did you choose?
I chose lens-based media. I wanted to make videos and do photography.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of did a bit of a change, because I was predominantly a painter when I did my A-levels and GCSEs. My teachers were very encouraging of me painting. They thought that it was something I needed to keep doing. And I don't know, maybe that was my rebellious phase. So I was just like, nope, I'm going to now do cameras instead. And yeah, I think the idea with that is because it comes back to music again, and I noticed this a lot with my life. It always comes back to music. And I wanted to make music videos. Because I think I was a little bit sad that I didn't get to do music at A-level, and I was missing that part of my life. So I wanted to make music videos. After that year at UCA, I then progressed on to doing a degree in TV production.
Sounds so interesting what you've done so far. I'm impressed, and I'm thinking maybe you should be recording this. TV production. Amazing.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yep. My aspiration was to either make it, or both actually, make a music video for Lady Gaga and to do director of photography for Doctor Who. That was that was what I was thinking at the time. That's what I wanted.
That's great achievements.
Well, I did that for about a year, and then this is why it's squiggly. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore.
What changed your mind?
I just wasn't enjoying it. I felt this is when I suddenly realized I really missed learning. I really wanted to learn something. Doing a course like TV production, you are learning a lot of functional skills, because you need to learn to use equipment and software. You have to learn certain techniques. You have to learn to work with other people. But it wasn't stimulating my mind in the way that I wanted. I also just realized I don't think I actually want to do this as a career. I love it as a bit of fun, and it's something I will come back to it one day in my life. I will go back to photography and trying to make films, but I decided I didn't want a degree in it and to pursue a career. So I left. I don't know, I think I must have been binge watching The Dog Whisperer. I was like, that's it, that's what I want to do. I applied to do a degree in animal behavioural science and welfare.
Wow, that is a big departure from everything else you did. Goodness. Well, right, okay, I'm up for this. So animal behaviour.
Yep. I was like, I want to be an animal trainer or an animal behaviourist. I want to help. So, you know, when you get dogs in a shelter, some of them have very bad backgrounds, and it's difficult to rehome them. So I wanted to help with the rehabilitation process so that they don't have to be put down. That was the idea at the time.
It ties in with what you were saying earlier about you wanting to know the essence of something. Yeah. So that still ties in with the animals, you know, you understanding there is essence, that they could be, you know, their behavior could be changed, you know, that they could be improved. It's back to looking deeper, isn't it, than what you see on the surface. I wonder if that's why your music videos weren't too grabbing for you, because you didn't capture the essence of someone. If you're filming them, it's sort of superficial to a certain degree, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I still would love to do music videos. I think now that I would be just doing it as a hobby, I think I could have so much more freedom with it. When you're trying to make creative products and you're being assessed on it and graded, it is extremely crushing. That's what I found. It felt like having a cage around my creative mind. I can see that.
But yeah, going into a science-based degree, it was such a leap. Even at my interview, they were looking at my previous background, and the course leader was
Did
just
you ever
like,
paint any dogs? Oh, look. Oh, no way. Did you paint that? That is amazing. Oh, I didn't say wow, did I? No, that is amazing. That is really good. Is that one of your dogs?
No, that's actually a commission that I'm working on at the moment. So that's
Right. They're going to be very happy with that.
yeah, I love it. I love painting animals.
So you've pulled the two together almost, haven't you?
Yeah, so it's actually quite funny. One of my first assignments when I went to do the animal science was actually to make a video.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, I had to make a
And
script.
you thought the skills wouldn't be used?
I was thinking to myself, this is fantastic. I still have the software I need and from the previous degree.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a piece of cake. You're going, yeah.
I had people in my class, like they were like, "Oh, this is so hard. I don't know how to edit videos," and I'm just like, "Got this. I've got this."
I take it you got good grades on that one.
I can't actually remember. It was a group assignment.
Right, okay. So we're doing a degree then in animal sciences and behaviour. Yep. Where did that go after that?
So that actually lasted quite a long time because it wasn't a very straightforward journey for me. I started to be quite unwell sort of towards Christmas time of my first year, and that kind of definitely changed my direction a bit. Also, I was told by my optician that the likelihood of me ever being able to drive was quite low because my eyesight is very bad. Now, instantly, that just like takes away a lot of options when it comes to working in the animal industry. Most shelters, zoos, wildlife places, they're out in the middle of nowhere. And we're in Kent, and Kent is a terrible place for public transport. Yeah, not being able to drive, I was like, oh, this is like demotivated me a lot to do this degree, but I finished it. But I had a few hiccups where I had to interfere or defer for 1 year because I wasn't very well and I had like stuff going on. So yeah, and then it took me a bit longer to finish my degree. So I actually only finished it in 2019. Yeah, that was quite a big chunk of my life, I think.
I have a question regarding your vision, because if you're told that you can't drive anymore, then how did that affect you and your painting and artwork and video work?
With painting and drawing, the vision wasn't really an issue at all, because when you learn to draw, your teachers will often tell you to try and squint or to remove your glasses when you're drawing something. This is because if you're looking at something and it's blurry, you're not looking at what the object is, you're looking at just what you see. You just see the shapes and the colors. You're not so worried about getting all the little lines correct. It makes it so much easier to get the proportions right when it's a little bit blurry. So yeah, for me, I was like, well, that might be why I feel like I draw so quickly, because I can't actually see well enough. So I just get the shapes.
Right, okay. So you can still manage all right then?
Yeah, and then obviously if
the dog picture looked amazing. It looked really good. So you obviously can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
With video and photography, there definitely was a bit of a setback, and I haven't got quite over that just yet. That's why lately I haven't been doing photography, because I'm trying to work out a way, because it is very difficult to look for a viewfinder when
I should imagine. But your comment there about being able to paint and draw with visual impairment, that does give some positivity to people considering that work who do have a vision issue. Yeah, that's great news.
I mean, like the famous example would be Monet. Towards the end of his life, he started to have issues. You can see it in his paintings. The colors are very, very different.
How do you get your work out there?
So mainly Instagram, I guess. I have my own website, which I'm not very good at yet. I think this is quite common for arty people, is we want to create. But then when it comes to the actually putting it out there and publishing it or doing website stuff, it's a bit scary.
You put your work out there on Instagram, that's great. Are there any other ways you market your work? Do you belong to any art collectives or associations?
Not yet. It's something that I will look into probably in the new year. I haven't been taking art seriously for very long, to be honest, because like I said, I graduated in 2019. I did a science-based subject. Kind of wasn't in my life for quite a long time. I could definitely feel myself being pulled back. I felt like something was missing. Then I started painting again. I think I actually started painting again just before lockdown. And then we went into lockdown and I was like, oh, well, I guess I've got nothing else to do. So
I'll do some painting.
Yeah, and I actually was painting mainly with acrylic, and I got back into oil painting, and that's what I've been doing since like the past year. So because it's been quite a short time, I'm still developing all these things, how to put myself out there, how to like get involved. Obviously, I've been meeting up with the Kent Creative Group, which is how we met.
Have you thought about seeking out any commissioned public art projects or anything like that?
Yeah, I have definitely pushed myself to get involved with opportunities that I felt I could do. So last year there was I think it's the Brain Appeal. They were doing a charity art auction. The theme was, oh, what was it? So you have to paint onto an envelope. They call it a letter in mind. Each year they have a different theme, and that year was everyday things. For that, I did a painting of a mocha pot and submitted that for the charity auction, and that was the first time I'd ever submitted artwork to something public, and it sold on the first day, which was really like a boost.
That's great. What did you get for it?
Oh, it was for charity, so nothing. It was literally just...
No, I mean, what did the charity get for it? Do you know?
Oh, okay. It was 80 pounds.
That's really good for an envelope, isn't it? You'll have to make some more mocha pots.
Yeah, and it's still to this day one of my favorite paintings, and I don't know who owns it.
Did you take a photograph of it before it went?
Yeah.
Good. So you have got a copy of it.
It's still on the website as well. They have like
your website is, while we're doing the advertising plug?
Oh yeah, daniellewilliamsart.co.uk.
You've brought up, or maybe I brought up, the subject of money.
Oh yeah.
What I want to know, and what I think probably a few people will want to know, is how do you price your work?
This is probably one of those like top Googled questions by artists.
Is it? Do they put on all the time?
A lot of people struggle with that, with pricing art. It's a difficult thing because
I know there's the basics. There's the basics, isn't there? There's the materials you use, the size of the project, the hours you spend on it, and your hourly rate. But there's also that, what you mentioned before again, and it keeps coming through your work, the essence of what you put into the work. And how do you price something like that?
Me personally, I did some research into this. I had been reading a book, I think it's called The Complete Smartest Guide, and it is a very detailed guide on how to make a career as a visual artist, and it is very in-depth. It's quite inspiring because it makes me think, oh, like this is a real thing. People told me you can't make a career out of art or it'd be too hard. And then reading this book, I was like, actually, it is possible. It's just not a very traditional way of having a career. I think a term people say a lot in the art world is having multiple streams of income. You can't just make money from the paintings alone. My way is, I think I did it based on the size of the painting. I calculate the costs of my paints as well. So based on paintings I've done previously, I think, well, how much paint do I physically use? How much do these canvases cost me? I incorporate that, and then I do it by size. Some people do it by time. There is a formula that some people use where it's like a certain amount of money per square inch. See, I wrote up my price list a couple of months ago, so I've actually forgotten the process I went through, because I was like, I'm going to write this down and I'm going to leave it so I don't have to think about it, and use that as a guide.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I've actually forgotten my exact formula of how I calculated it. Because I'm still new to this, I still do have my prices fairly low, because there's also the other element of the more well-known you are, the more like in demand you are, the more you can probably charge. Some artists are selling their paintings for hundreds of pounds or thousands, but that's because people really want them and they will pay that. Whereas because I've just started, it's the first year, no one knows who I am. I'd love to ask for that price.
Yeah. Do you think, right, my creativity is worth 20% of the work on top of what it costs? Or is it individual? And when you do a piece, you then go, this is really good. This is going to sell. I'm going to put it in with my creativity at 50% sort of thing.
It is very difficult. Like recently, I actually sold a painting at an exhibition recently. Again, like my prices were significantly lower than everyone else's because I sort of thought, well, it's not like up to the same standard as everyone else, and I'm not like as established as everyone else. But I actually had an emotional attachment to this painting. There was this part of me that was like, no, I want to charge more, because letting go of this painting is quite a big thing for me. My emotions in that scenario aren't very helpful. I had to be logical.
Yeah, but it's hard, isn't it? You're letting go of you. It's a part of you you're letting go.
But in a way, I sort of find that quite like magical in a way. Like
there's sharing it. Yeah,
there's a little bit of me in someone's living room. It's the same with the painting that I sold at the charity auction. Like they were sold anonymously, and our names weren't revealed until after the purchase.
Ah, right.
But it's just the idea that there is someone out there who owns this painting, that to me there's meaning behind it, there's time spent into it. Yeah, like there is a little bit of me in that painting.
It's valued.
And it's just out in the world, and I don't know where. And there's kind of like a romantic idea around that, I guess.
Well, I think we can't leave before we see a few more of your pieces. Have you got any more to hand that we could possibly look at? The dog was beautiful, the black Labrador. But if you have got any round you, we wouldn't mind looking at a couple before we go.
Oh, I've got I have a stack.
I thought you might have.
Last night, I thought, in preparation for this, so I have an idea of what I'm talking about, I wanted to go through everything. And last year I did a overall picture where I took pictures of everything that I'd done in that year, and I did the same. So I've got a picture of everything I've done.
Wow.
This is something I've done recently.
That's brilliant.
It's a funny story. I took this into a nightclub recently, just like stuck it in my handbag because it's on a canvas board.
Yeah, like you do, yeah. I'm always taking my books into a nightclub, yeah.
And it was quite funny because like they had security at the door checking our bags, and they like look in my bag and there's this painting, and I'm just like, yeah, this is normal. It's because this is Lawrence Chaney, who was the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race last year.
I thought I recognised the face, yeah. Very good.
They were recently in Canterbury performing at Glitter Bomb in Canterbury, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go and like show them my painting, because we paid to do the meet and greet as well.
Ah, right, right.
That was
so good. Big fan.
And I've got things like sunflowers.
Yes, very nice. Is that Van Gogh?
Yeah. I actually have painted a lot of sunflowers this year. Again, portraits. I like doing portraits.
Oh, my favourite. Yeah, you've got me converted, Mr. Spock. Oh,
yeah,
live long and prosper.
My boyfriend requested this one.
yes, I'm up for that. I'm a Trekkie, so that's okay.
Self-portrait, which...
Oh, wow. You paint yourself a lot older, I think, than you are.
A lot of people have said that to me.
Yeah.
Which, again, is interesting because, like I said, I put my sort of energy into what
so obviously you feel more mature than you actually look.
I think like I have my moments. Sometimes I think like, oh, I'm like a 80-year-old woman, because I was invited to go out clubbing on Monday, and I was like, no, I want to go home and I'm gonna drink a cup of tea and get my dressing gown. And then I on other occasions, I'm the complete opposite, where I do act my age and maybe a little bit less. So I vary a lot.
Right. That's interesting, because you paint what you that's what you said. You paint what you feel.
Yeah.
And that's what you did in your self-portrait.
And this one is another one where I was painting what I felt, but I was painting whilst listening to the music. So the background was my response and interpretation of the music. And then it was actually an assignment. So this year I did an online course, and the assignment was you had to paint during the song. So once the song stopped, you had to stop.
Oh.
So I did the background in that time, and then I decided to come back into it and actually sort of kind of paint the portrait. So this is Lindsey Buckingham, and I was listening to his acoustic version of Big Love, which I think is a Fleetwood Mac song.
Yes, yeah.
Very deep. I really enjoyed that.
Very deep.
Yeah, I have some I have done a lot of experimentation.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, but like being a bit green and purple.
Oh, I can see your gap year in that one.
There was one that I did that when my sister saw it, she seems to be like had a reaction to it, and that's this one.
Wow.
Very
dark.
Very moody.
Yeah, very deep. Yeah.
And I don't usually paint when I'm in a bad mood, because like if I'm in a bad or low mood, I'm just like, no, I'm going to bed. I don't want to do anything. I forced myself to paint during a bad mood, and that's what that
looks like. Actually, I wouldn't want that on my toilet door.
I painted this, and that was painted from life within 2 hours.
Yeah, that's so you.
I think I mentioned earlier, I have had experience of trying to talk to someone whilst painting them at the same time. And
yes, you did. That's what you were going to have a go with me. Yeah.
And it was really interesting when I laid out all of my work from this year onto the floor. This stood out to me as being one of the more bright, like just brighter, lighter looking paintings. And
your eyes are beautiful and warm in that.
And this is of my friend Hayley.
Oh, it's not you.
No, hang on.
Oh, I thought it was you with dyed hair. It's interesting because you've got identical chins almost.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh, is that Danielle with a lot of makeup on? You know.
Yeah. So my friend sat for a portrait for me during the exhibition. I was doing a demo, and she was just chatting with me, and I said to her, don't worry about trying to stay still, just chat to me as normal, it'll be nice, keeping me company. I don't mind trying to paint someone while they're moving. It's just interesting that like this painting is actually the more light one, because I just thought, well, she's actually quite a very bubbly, warm person.
It does come over. Over. Her eyes are sort of warm and smiling.
Yeah,
you can feel that.
And then you can compare that to like maybe another painting that I've done on myself.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's quite a different. That's almost a photograph, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, I've tried watercolor as well.
Yeah.
Still, that's
watercolor moody. That's moody. That one. Yeah.
So I guess that's my theme. A lot of the time, my stuff is.
Don't mess with me. That is. Yeah. So where are you going before we finish? Are you staying with portraits, do you think?
I will always do portraits. I love portraits. My plan for my upcoming projects is to actually refine it a little bit more, because at the moment, the past year or so, I've just been painting what I feel like without much conscious thought. So now I want to take what's in my sketchbooks, which I mentioned earlier about sketching musicians. I finished a sketchbook recently, which is an amazing achievement for me to actually get through a whole book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to develop those into paintings, and they will be portraits, but they will be, I guess, a little bit more abstract, like the Lindsey Buckingham one.
Yeah,
So
I like that. That was good.
This is an example of sketches that I've done live.
Right, yeah.
So obviously these are people whilst they're moving. Let me find them.
That's a very hard thing to do, people while they're moving, you know.
Yeah, for some reason I really, really enjoy it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, lovely. That's very good. Yeah. I look forward to seeing those with interest. I mean, and people, you're combining the two things, aren't you? Your love of music and your love of art.
Yep.
What more could you ask for? On that note, I think I would like to thank you, Danielle, for coming along today and doing an interview, the Interview With podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was fun.
Good. Goodbye, everybody. Do you want to say goodbye, Danielle?
Bye.